Hey everyone, it's Marti Daly here. If you're feeling disconnected from your faith or spirituality during menopause, you're not alone. In this latest episode of the Menowave Lounge, Robin and I delve into the often overlooked spiritual aspect of the mind, body, and spirit connection during menopause. We open up about our personal journeys, the challenges we faced, and the insights we've gained along the way. This conversation is close to our hearts, and we hope it resonates with you. So grab a comfy seat and tune into this episode of the Menowave Lounge, hot flashes and cool conversations. You won't want to miss it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Menowave Lounge, hot flashes and cool conversations. I'm Robin Duke, and this is Marti Daly. And today we have something special for you. We wanted to talk to you about how does our spiritual life connect with our physical life. Now, this is a little bit different, and we're going to go a little bit deep into this. I just wanted to say that this is a really interesting topic. Marti and I have been talking about it for quite a while, and we just felt really led to share this conversation with you. Marti, what do you think?
Absolutely. I'm going to be completely vulnerable here, but this is a very personal topic for me. As we get into this, I'm sure there's ladies that are listening that can understand and maybe relate. And I just want to say that the point of view that Robin and I are sharing are our own. We have different ways of approaching our own spirituality. As everyone listening has their own different ways, and some this may not resonate at all, and that's absolutely understandable. And there's some that may hear what we're saying and being, oh no, you're wrong because I feel a different way. And I'm going to say what connects us all when it comes to spirituality is stronger than what divides us. And so when I share my point of view or my story of who I am, and then Robin, what she shares is not to take away from where you are or what you believe, whether you agree with us or not, or feel that this speaks to you or not, it's absolutely okay. This is done with love and just kind of opening up a conversation to something that's important to a lot of us and important to myself. I feel called to share because for me, at least, when I tap into my own spirituality, that's an authenticity that I am not necessarily, it's a new experience for me to share that.
That's really good. Yes. And just to add to what Marti is saying, once again, we are coming from our own personal experiences and sharing with you. We want this to be a safe space to have this conversation and for you to listen and to, have an open mind and to just really think about where you are in your spiritual life or walk, or how you even think about that, or do you even tap into your spiritual side of yourself. And once again, we're just coming from our heart center when we are talking to you and sharing our experiences. We hope that you can find nuggets of truth for yourself and that this touches your heart and maybe causes you to think or grow concerning your spiritual life and where you are today in it. So, welcome to the Menowave Lounge. How does your spiritual life connect with your physical life? So, Marti, would you like to start by sharing some of your experiences around your spiritual life and your background?
Yes, thank you for that. I feel like I have to start at the beginning because for those of you who do not know, I am a certified consulting hypnotist. I was certified in hypnosis back in 2008. And that factors into this story as well. And when I look back at jumping from the corporate world as a technical recruiter into going into a career of hypnosis, a lot of people were taken aback by that, which I will share. But I really feel that when I look back, it was a very important piece of my own spiritual journey. And even though I have been a professional hypnotist for 16 years now, my relationship to the work that I do and what is happening through the work that I do is evolving as my spiritual journey continues. So just to take us back to where this began, I was 33 years old. And like I said, I was a technical recruiter and my daughter was 6 months old. And I was driving an hour and a half each way to work. And I hated being away from her. I really didn't like my job. I'd been doing it for a while and I just wasn't feel like I was helping anyone. I got into that role to help people get jobs. And while I did do that, there was a whole lot of it that was just really kind of like almost soul sucking, if you could believe that, especially as a new mom who didn't want to be away from her daughter. And at the same time, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that attacked my thyroid called Graves' disease. So I spent an entire year hardly able to even get out of bed. I would go to work, I would come home, I would spend a little bit of time with my baby, and then I would go straight to bed, probably by 7, 8 o'clock, sleep through as late as I could, and I was just exhausted. The same time, my marriage to my children's father was not good. It was falling apart. And so I had all that going on. And then in the final event during that time that was significant is also my parents' 38-year marriage completely exploded and ended. So here I was, 33 years old, and I had all of this stuff going on in my life. And I was really looking for answers. I was really trying to understand why this was happening and what I could do about it. And, I was just very, very lost. And my mother actually, just to kind of back it up a bit, I was raised with a Christian background, although we weren't regulars at church and not like super devout, yet that was the framework and that I was brought up. But my parents, both of them to varying degrees, had other interests in what we would call like New Age, the metaphysical, the spirituality side of things. And I really didn't pay that much attention to it. It was always kind of weird to me. I can remember going back to being a kid. My mother would drag me to like the Gaia bookstore in Austin, Texas, back in the 80s. And I would hear the little meditation music and have these beautiful crystals and this incense smell and the plinky plinky. And she was into self-hypnosis and meditation. And it just weirded me out. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't want to be a part of it. So that was kind of the mindset that I came into until I reached that pivotal point in my time at 33. And my mom gave me some suggestions of some other avenues to explore that were outside of some of the things that I was taught growing up. Started on that journey and started feeling more uplifted and more connected to who, when I say God, the personal relationship with me. And at the same time along that journey, I stumbled across hypnosis concept, the art of hypnotism. And I thought it was fake. I had no idea. I mean, if I thought metaphysical stuff was weird, hypnosis was super weird. I mean, I always thought of what we see on the TV and in movies of this scary, either a very scary, sinister man with his pocket watch, saying you're going to get sleepy and telling them to do horrible things. Or on the other flip side, it was some kooky, strange, sprightly woman who was, just everybody
The
kind of
Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. And there was a movie. And I can't, gosh, I can't remember what the movie is, but I just thought it was fake. I thought it was what I saw in these comedy shows. I thought everybody was faking it. But I was curious enough because it was kind of lining up with some of the other stuff that I was on my spiritual path and what I was reading and what I was exploring. And as it just so happened, I had a friend at work who was also kind of interested in some of the more spiritual leanings. And she had heard about hypnotism as well. And we're like, oh, well, what is this about? In Denver at the time was a program for adult education called Colorado Free University, where you could pay like $25 and take a course. I took a course in wine tasting. I took a course in belly dancing. You could learn computer stuff. You could learn like bookkeeping. And there was a hypnosis program one night for World Hypnotism Day. And my friend ended up not being able to go, but my mom came with me. And I sat there and I learned about what hypnosis was and some of the helpful applications of this tool. And man, it was like a lightning bolt just hit my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, how wonderful could it be to be able to help a person work through what they're going through in this way? I felt it would be a whole lot more gratifying, a whole lot more rewarding than being a recruiter. And so I ended up going through a certification program with the people who ran the course and became certified in hypnosis by the National Guild of Hypnotists, which is the oldest certifying body of hypnotists in the world, with ethics, and there's a way of training and all of that good stuff. As fate would have it, I ended up leaving my recruiting job and I could open up my practice as a hypnotist. And that was the beginning. And the thing is, Robin, I thought, okay, well, here it is. I'm gonna hang out this shingle and I'm gonna help people. Well, I happen to live in a very religious Christian community. And that was where I was trying to start my business. And my goodness, the pushback I got when I would go to my networking groups, I would have people be like, don't you look me in the eyes, or they would just walk away from me. Or literally, when I would be speaking in it, like when you're in a networking group, I don't know if you've ever done this, and you go around the table and you have like a 30-second talk about who you are and what you do. I would have women start to talk over me while I'm trying to share. And I had one person get in my face and say, well, I want to know what my pastor would think about what you do. I've been called a demon. and and I was like, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception around what hypnosis, number one, is, because there's a lot of old beliefs around hypnosis that, something that you see at a carnival or something, or the Twilight Zone kind of, or it's always been associated with crazy or spirits or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is now really starting to come into its own as a very, very valuable tool. And it's starting to be seen more and more as a therapy tool.
And absolutely. And that was the piece that I was super interested in was, yes, helping people quit smoking, helping people. I mean, there was stories and then experiences I had with my own clients of how I was able to help someone who couldn't drive a car, who would literally throw up and have panic attacks at the thought of getting behind a wheel of a car, being able to drive again, to be able to get on an airplane to visit their dying grandmother, to be able to speak in front of a crowd of people. I mean, those were the things that really lit me up. One of my first clients, I was barely just like a few months out of training, had just opened my shop, and I'd helped a woman quit smoking. And I ran into her and her son at the Halloween store. And this little 10-year-old boy comes up to me and says, thank you for helping my mommy quit smoking. And oh my gosh, just that made it all worth it, right? And so I would have those clients come to me, but I was still dealing with the misunderstanding and everything of what I was doing. And here's the thing, I was just incredulous about this because I went through training with a Catholic priest. And in fact, the National Guild of Hypnotists actually has a board of Christian clergy to help advise how to use it in the pastoral counseling. And so, and what my priest friend told us was the Catholic Church, at least, does not discourage nor did it endorse the use of hypnotism as long as it was used for healing purposes. They kind of skeptical about it if it was used for like entertainment and stuff. And that's not the interest that I went with this anyway. But another pastor had a good point that anything that can help someone heal that part of themselves that is separate from God is good. So, which got us thinking that maybe somebody was addicted to smoking, or they drank too much, or they ate too much, or they felt unworthy of love, or they were believing a certain way that would have them act in a way that they believed that took them out of deserving God's love, or help or broke that connection to their spirituality. If this is a tool that could heal that and help them connect back up, then that was a beautiful thing.
That's an amazing story in the way that you journeyed through, and there was another side in your spiritual walk that you saw that you could help people, and coming from a place that was your spiritual center and recognizing that there was another way of helping people. It sounds like you were destined, that this was to be for you. It was a very special gift that you felt very compelled to nurture and develop. And I really understand that when we're talking about our spiritual life, everybody has a spiritual walk, a spiritual journey. Where that leads us and what it teaches us along the way is very personal to every individual. But it is at the root of why we make some decisions the way we do. It does affect our values, underlying values of who we are and how we show up in the world. Our spiritual connection is like deep water underneath, right? Yes. And still waters run deep, they say. That's really interesting that you shared your story in a way that you're connected with your spirituality and your journey took you to the ability, a gift to be able to help people.
Absolutely. And that was the beginning of my path. And I have this wonderful tool. When we talk about hypnosis, what we're referring to is a relaxed yet focused state of consciousness. It's a state of mind. And my good old friend, the priest, even talked about when we go into deep prayer. He related it to when you pray the rosary, if you pray it, touching those beads, saying the prayers take you down deeper and deeper into that deep meditative state to help connect you closer to God. And that really resonated with me. So for me, that's the way I always felt too. That being said, there's so much misunderstanding about what that does. And then there's a lot of fear, depending on what perhaps someone's religion would say about the fears of what can happen to you when you're in that state, or what you're inviting in, or what your spirituality is. That definitely for me came into play because I was already down the path of looking at different things than maybe other people who were stronger in any particular religion would be. I've never been particularly religious. I didn't quite understand the power of that connection when I go into that state and the work that I do on myself, because as a hypnotist, not only do I help other people, but I also know how to do this stuff to help myself. And what I was doing, it took me years to really own that connection that I have when I go into that state with, for me, is my soul, which for me is my connection to God. And so again, certainly I'm not saying that my way is the right way. My connection with what I'm doing here with my soul is so much stronger since I've been on this journey than it ever was the first 33 years of my life.
Our spiritual walks are individual to the way that we grew up. Our belief systems come from the things that we hear from all around us, all the different people that speak into our lives. And it could be our parents, our teachers, society, friends, neighbors, people in the workplace. They all speak into our lives. And that affects us because we make decisions, we make agreements with ourselves. And some of those agreements are healthy and they protect us, and some of them aren't. Those agreements, we were just talking, Marty and I, earlier about the four.
It's the four agreements, and I'm looking at
four agreements.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Right.
Yes.
Be impeccable with your words. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I mean, those are basic philosophies, but because of the way that we grow up, we make assumptions right away because of our belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that this part ties in with, expanding our mind or being open to new and different things like hypnosis. And maybe our belief systems as we were growing up said, "Ooh, that's bad, that's woo-woo," or however it was presented to you. And when we start looking at our belief systems that run in our mind, we have to actually challenge those agreements that we've made with ourselves, or those belief systems that we made with ourselves. And if we don't find that those are true, that we can't be open to hearing somebody else's journey or walk, then maybe that's a time to do some reflecting and say, am I being closed because of the way I was raised? Or can I be open? Maybe I don't agree with it, but at least I can hear. Maybe there are some benefits. I really like that, Marty, that you were brave in your walk to be true and authentic to something that really spoke to you, even though it may have gone against like the norms in our society at times. So,
Yeah.
but you're coming from it from a place of love and integrity. And that's really important because you're being respectful with your gift, and you're sharing it with people that really need it, want it, and are open to seeing a different way of working with their belief systems or their fears or phobias, or just habits that they want to break, and so that they can become more connected, more healthy in their thinking, in their ways. I mean, like, you work with women that want to quit smoking or want to break this cycle of bad habits of eating. I mean, those are things that are very real in our lives. And so many times that we try to break these habits. And we also know that they are subconsciously ingrained from an old belief system long time ago. Like smoking cigarettes might have been cool for you when you were a teenager because everybody was doing it. But now that you're an adult, it's causing cancer, it's causing all kinds of health problems, right? But you still can't shake it because it's an addiction. Well, it all started back with a seed way long back, a long time ago in your life, right?
Yes.
So by using the hypnosis, it's a way of clearing out all the layers that have built up of old belief systems or new belief systems or whatever it is, agreements that you've made with yourself, and kind of getting down into the very bottom of where that idea lived.
Yes.
And
Absolutely. We make agreements with ourselves. We make agreements with one another. Robin and I were talking about, she and I have an agreement of how we're going to co-create this experience, which is this podcast and this episode. We have agreements with strangers of how we conduct ourselves in public that we all kind of accept and agree to. And then we also have agreements, like Robin was saying, of how we show up in the world and how we interpret and how we react to and how we work with the world around us. Like you said, with the smoking, that agreement meant something. When we took that puff of the cigarette because we're young and we're around a bunch of kids that are older than us and they're all cool and we want to look cool because we're young and we don't think we are. And then we took that puff of the cigarette and they're all like, yeah, good for you, you're one of us. That agreement was solidified of, okay, this is how I'm cool. That is my agreement. And so we do that all the time. And so coming back around to where that is with, like, why are we talking about this when it comes to menopause? Well, if you see a lot of it talk about body, mind, and spirit. And when we are here in this stage of menopause, I certainly am experiencing, as I'm sure all of you are, there's changes with our body. There's stuff going on with our mind. And for a lot of us, with what's going on with us spiritually. And when we go into that hypnotic state, there's a lot that we can do there as far as breaking or adjusting or modifying or creating new agreements that are going to support us. And then we come back around to the spirituality part of it, is which of these agreements pull us closer to our connection with the divine or God or the universe or source or Christ or whoever it is that we hold in our hearts, which agreements bring us closer and which agreements pull us further away. And I think a lot of us find for physical, the choices that we make in medicine. Are we going to love our bodies? Are we going to take care of our bodies? Are we going to punish our bodies? How do we feel about what our bodies are experiencing? If we're, feeling low, if we're feeling sad, if we're feeling angry, if we're feeling depressed, if we're feeling rage, if we're behaving in a way where we're taking it all out on the people closest to us or taking it out on ourselves, or we're shutting down, or we're doing all of these things. These are all agreements, body, mind, and spirit, that we are experiencing as we go through this change of life. And I'm sure, Robin, you probably feel some of those too. Which of those agreements are supporting us? What I had to do is stop and take a feel of, okay, how am I feeling that's pulling me away from my connection to the divine? And what needs to happen that I can pull myself and connect back up? Because when I'm connected back up, as I'm sure if any of you have, if you've experienced that connection with whatever your spirituality takes you, it's uplifting. You feel loved, you feel protected, you feel safe, you feel healthier, or you feel that hope that, hey, even if today's kind of a crappy day, tomorrow's going to be better.
Yes. And just to connect that with the menopause roller coaster that we are on, your spiritual life that connects into your physical life. And that's really what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And in past podcasts, we talk a lot about the physical things that we can do with our doctors and everything. But this podcast today, we just really wanted to talk about the underlying spiritual connection that we have to our menopause journey. And this is, I believe, especially at the ages that we are, is it's a good time for us to really look inside, do some soul searching, some heart searching, and question the different things that we believe in. Are they, supporting us? Are they not supporting us? Do we have fear around them? Are we safe with our assumptions or our beliefs or our agreements that we've made with ourselves? It's a time for us to inner reflect, to really get clear about what our belief systems are from today, from when we were a child growing up. Just a little bit about my story. I grew up with the Christian framework, Baptist, Southern Baptist, and I didn't know any better. I was a kid. This is where my mom said, "We're going." And I can remember learning everything about the Bible, and I can remember learning my Christian beliefs. I went Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, and every other function. And all my friends were church kids, right? So I didn't really have any say if that was right, wrong, or indifferent. That was what was being taught to me, shared, lived, my lived experience. But then as I got into my teenage years, I wanted to be different. I wanted to step away from the church. And I can remember telling my mom, I said, "I don't want to go to church anymore. I'm tired of church." And she was very smart. She was very wise. And she said, "Okay, it's time. You have a good foundation, and now it's time for you to decide what it is that you believe." Right. And so I didn't go to church. I was done with that part of my life. Right. But I always had that foundation of a connection, a relationship with what I call God, my Lord Savior. Okay. And that's my personal belief. That's what I call them. So everybody has a different way of looking at their higher power or their higher self. Whatever words you want to use, feel free. But for me, I kind of went a little crazy and wild, and I was growing up being a kid, and I didn't get into any real bad trouble. But I mean, I married young. I had my first child. I got pregnant on my honeymoon. I had my daughter when I was 17. And by the time I was 21, I was divorced. I mean, I went around the block and grew up really, really fast. And it wasn't until my getting into my 20s that I was growing up, I was starting to live life. I was being an adult. I was adulting, that I came back to my foundation and my relationship with God. It was just it was my personal relationship. And I was not a preachy person. I lived in the world. I carried my job. I made my own decisions, made my own money, raised my beautiful daughter. I went through all the life experiences that we go through. And I remember I was in my 30s and I walked into this church, and I don't know what it was, but it was like a dam broke. And all those layers of everything, of life and everything that I believed in just fell away. And I was so moved, and I was so just touched by something that I couldn't understand what it was, but it brought me to tears. And every time I went into Sunday morning service, and I'll never forget it. I mean, everything spoke to me. And it was just so clear. I started processing all these feelings and all these emotions. And I cried. I mean, big, just right down. I didn't care who saw me. I was just a weeping mess. And then I'd pull myself together. And then our preacher, Probasco, that's what his name was, he would speak from the pulpit. And I swear to God, everything that he said, I was going through. I needed to hear it. And that was a period of time in my life. I went through that for a good solid 6 or 8 months, where I was just cleaning out emotionally, just emotionally cleaning out all that junk that I was living in and through. And I would leave church, I would be so like lighter. And whatever it was that was being lifted off and out of me, it was like a vessel that was emptying, and my heart was being cleansed and pured and healed, right? And I'll never forget that time in my life, because it did change me. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know really what was processing for me. I just knew I was going through a transformation. So that was kind of a transformation in my walk. And it wasn't until I think in my 40s, maybe in going into my 50s, and I was hitting menopause at that time. And I was working with women and women's groups and restoration groups because that's where I started becoming a life coach. And that's where I felt like I was being led. I wanted to help other women move through whatever junk that was in their life that was keeping them back, all these old hurts and these old wounds, these wounded places, and to be able to forgive and release and to heal from them. And that's what restoration was for me. And I had a lady that started talking to me about coaching women, and I was already somewhat doing that. And I thought, wow, this is such a wonderful experience to actually see these new results by helping women to identify inside, to look what it is that they want their life to start moving into, being happy and prosperous and healthy. And from there, I grew my business. I had coaching for life transitions. I was already helping women move through big transitions in their life. And it was something that I knew, like Marty knew that she wanted to be in hypnosis. I knew that I was meant and destined to be a life coach and to help women on their journeys. And so that was 20 years ago when I started that. And that's been the journey for me. And my spiritual life has like paralleled my passion life, okay, for helping women. And so as my spiritual life grows, that's how I show up in my real life. Genuine. It comes from the heart. Yeah. I genuinely have a love and a passion for helping women. And coming into the menopause group, I just have such a love for these ladies that are in this group, and just trying to understand how to help them, just to be there to support them, to encourage them, to show them we are all together walking this journey. And how can I help you? I'm here. I'm a resource, right? Just as Marti is too. She's taken her wonderful talents and she has said, I'm a vessel, please use me. We're not here to do the big sales pitch or anything like that, but we're saying that we want to connect. We want to show you that your roadmap, your journey doesn't have to be painful. It can be uplifting. It can be healthy. It can be healing. And on the spiritual side, and once again, that's what we're talking about here, is how do we do some housekeeping on our spiritual life? Because it interplays and interacts in all other parts of our physical life. And you can see when somebody has like a damper over their spiritual life. Mm-hmm. And when you start working to pull that out, it just gives you so much more energy and clarity and love and compassion for the people around you, not only for yourself, but for maybe the people in your family, for the people that come across, for the people that are in this group. They need to see your light shining, and that comes from your spiritual strength.
Absolutely. If I may, when you were telling your story about sitting in the church and just having all of that come through you and the tears pouring out of you, what a beautiful, beautiful experience that was for you. And it's so beautiful when we get to experience that. I'm going to say I had a very similar thing happen for me. Church was not where I felt that. I had a different feeling, and nothing negative in that way, but I just didn't have that connection there. For me, it came through the things that I followed on my spiritual path. But I can remember just several years ago going into that level of consciousness. We can call it hypnosis, we can call it meditation, call it what you want, deep prayer, and working through it that way. Similar to the way I use it with my clients, but for me, I was bringing more of the spirituality side in for me personally. And yes, I had that. I released so much stuff. And like you said, you feel lighter, you feel more open. And when that happens, why I want to say that, to take advantage of that and seek that out if you're feeling lost, or if you're feeling sad, or your feelings just buried, is because if you would all resonate with the law of attraction, which is a whole other thing, but talking about spiritual energies, is like we get more of what we're feeling. So when we're feeling underwater, when we're feeling disconnected from our higher self or our higher power, or feeling sad or feeling frustrated, we're going to just keep seeing more and more of that. We're not going to notice the beauty and the joy. But for me, once I was able to work through a lot of that stuff, and it's a process, it's not necessarily one and done. It took you several months. It's stuff I come back to years and years. There's always something new coming up, at different stages of my life, something percolating up that I go in and I connect with, and I call in my angels, I call in my guides, I call in the love of God, I call in every resource that I believe in to help me work through that and release it. Because when I do, then I feel more centered, more grounded, more joyous. And I see more of those opportunities out there, which is very, very helpful as menopause came on and the hormones are going nuts, our cortisols are going nuts, or we have so many things working against us sometimes. And that's part of the reason why I want to work with women in menopause, is to help those kind of release through that stuff. And what I did find, and again, I'm being vulnerable here because I'm sharing my spiritual leanings and what guides me in the work that I do. And when I work with clients, even especially in the beginning, I had to walk this fence line, especially the more that I understood that power of what could be done when we're in that meditative state and we are connected with love, we're connected with the divine, we're connected with whoever it is or whatever it is we feel resonated with. And we can do powerful agreement shifting in that state. Most people aren't on the same page. Robin and I aren't even on the same, we have different, we approach things different beliefs, and we both were raised have Southern Baptist background. And yet here's where we are in our journey. So with my clients, there were ones that wanted to be assured that I would be safe to work with because I had a Christian background. There were some that we would begin every session with everything that we do is in the name of Jesus Christ to help, because there were some that were worried about letting in negative or dark or demonic or what have you, whatever their belief was. And so we do that. I always start all my sessions when I'm working with myself or with anyone else, just silently. I surround us all with love and protection. And then there are some that just want to know the science of it. And I remember having a tough conversation in the beginning because I'm thinking, well, I have to be able to prove scientifically how this works. And that's tough to do. And so people are like, no, I need to know the science. I have to have the scientific understanding of how this works. It's like, well, it's an art form more than now they can do some imaging of the brain when you're in that hypnotic state and they can see different areas light up. And when these connections are made with the neural pathways lighting up and all of that, which is cool, which I felt gave the hypnosis aspect of it and what's happening some science cred. But on a spiritual level, I mean, there is so much that if we're willing to tap in and feel and experience and release, it can be so healing on a spiritual level. And when we can do that, then of course we can see the good stuff. Then of course we can attract in more of how we want to feel. And the world looks a little bit brighter, at least has been my experience for me and the people that I've worked with. Now, if you're someone who all of that is hogwash and that none of that exists for wherever you are in your journey, that's absolutely okay too. It's not required to break and shift some of those agreements. It's the power of the subconscious mind, whatever that is for you. For me, the work I do works with the connection with the soul versus the ego, which is our personalities and all of our woundings and all of our agreements that we have. And then the soul is that connection to the divine. But however you want to look at it, it's not all encompassing. And that's why I want to say, like, oh, we've got to do the woo and all of that. You don't necessarily have to do that. Again, this is me sharing my journey. For some of you who may be feeling, well, hey, I'm having a real crisis of faith right now, or I'm having a crisis of whatever right now. Something to think about.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And today you've listened to some of our stories and you've listened to some of our different points of view and the journeys that we both have been on. And we know that everybody is on their own individual journey. I think the bottom line for what Marty and I really want to convey today is just the importance of paying attention to your spiritual life. Really take some inventory of where you are in your spiritual walk. And if you feel like you need someone to talk to, maybe some hypnosis, or with me, I work with limiting belief systems, helping you to change those patterns that live with us every day so that we can create new healthy belief systems that support us in our everyday journey. Both Marty and I have experience in these areas. Use us we have talents that we want to bring to this group and to our listeners. I want to shift a little bit and talk about the Menopalooza retreat because I feel like
Very fitting what we're talking about.
it is. It fits right in. It's in Sedona, Arizona, and this is a 3-day retreat. And we are going to have an array of amazing speakers that are going to come and talk to you. Everything from our doctors that talk to you about the physical health and life coaches. I'm going to be there talking about limiting belief systems and how we can break them. But we have so many wonderful providers and experts that are going to be coming. Now, having said that, Sedona is also a very magical, spiritual place. The energy's there. I mean, when you walk in, you can just feel it all around you. That particular part of the world there's vortexes of energy. And it's so amazing. It's almost like it takes you to like another dimension. And it just allows you to clear out like old junk that is no longer serving you. It allows you to be a lot more open-minded, and you get to meet other like-minded women that are going through the same thing that you can share and develop really amazing relationships with. And I think in that environment, that vibration is a lot higher. And it just takes us outside of our day-to-day life. And it kind of shakes everything up. And you go, wow, I need to look at my life with new eyes, to see new things, to hear new stories, to connect with women that are going through the same thing that I am, and know that I'm not alone. And just to be able to have fun, to laugh. There's wonderful red mountains. They're all over and they're just beautiful. You can go on hikes and you just feel so much more connected to your spiritual self in the Sedona, Arizona. And if you've ever been there, you know exactly what I'm talking. And if you haven't, you need to come and experience it. Have you ever been there, Marti?
Oh, yes, absolutely. My husband and I took a road trip there actually during lockdown, during COVID, because we just had to get away. You remember that time was just very tumultuous and very stressed time. We were supposed to go to Maui and we couldn't fly anywhere because everything was quarantined. So we're like, we hit the road. But yes, we did spend some time in Sedona, and we did a hike into, to a couple of different vortices, I don't know the plural.
Vortexes.
But I actually bought a book. I bought a book of the vortexes of Sedona, and it was ungodly hot. It was September, but it was still super hot. But I did it anyway. We hiked, we sat on a rock under, we had a little bit of scrub, like a little bit of cedar over us. So it was a little bit of shade. I had my AirPods, I popped one in, and my husband put one in his ear, and we just listened to some meditation music and just sat quietly for probably about half an hour, just communing. I remember the drive back to home through Colorado. I gotta tell you, the world just looked brighter. The colors were more vibrant. I felt happier than I had been in a very long time. I felt joyful. I felt optimistic. And so I want to, when you get the opportunity to go do that, and then to add on top of that, to be soaking up that energy of love, of support, of laughter, of community, that the Menopalooza retreat itself and the providers there and the energy of the people there, do not underestimate how powerful that is. Even whether you actually actively participate or not, going in there with an open heart, when you're in that frequency or that energetic vibration, opens something up, and it helps open up that connection to your spirituality, whoever that is for you. Don't underestimate that. And it definitely has a long-lasting impact. So if you want to know more about that retreat, go to, is it menowaveretreats.com? Is that correct, Robin?
Yes. Tell them that you heard it on the Minowave Lounge.
Tell them Marti and Robin sent you.
Yes.
Yes. And so just kind of just wrap up along with that. If you are curious about what hypnosis feels like, if you want to start training yourself to tap in to your spirituality or deepen that connection to your higher self or to your soul, if there's some things, some agreements you feel like you want to start shifting that are keeping you away, keeping you feeling out of sorts or lower with your mind, body, or spirit, every Wednesday evening throughout the rest of the summer and most likely beyond, I am offering what I call a mind massage. It is a actual hypnosis session with me. It's a group session. You just come in, you on mute, and I guide you through that experience. And it is a safe way. Everybody that's ever been through it they feel like they've woken up from a nice, relaxing power nap afterwards. But it's starting to shift. It starts to shift, like Robin was saying, some of that yuck. I mean, she and I, and those of us who are more spiritually connected, wherever we find our faith, we work through a lot of this stuff. But sometimes it's like trying to give yourself your own back massage. There's some stuff that you might need some more help getting to. And that's what this is about. I have the link below so you can go and sign up for that. It's very inexpensive, but it's a wonderful, wonderful way to get introduced to hypnosis in a very safe setting, and then say, hey, what's this lady all about? Because I got to tell you, hypnosis has changed my life, not just as a practitioner and a provider as a career, but the way that I have learned this tool and the stuff that I have learned to help myself and to help those around me, life-changing. And I wouldn't want to be going through menopause without what I have learned, without what I have experienced, without the way my connection has strengthened and the agreements that I have shifted within myself. There's a lot I've had to let go of, and there's a lot that I have willingly embraced.
Well, thank you, Marti, for sharing that. And I want to just wrap this up by saying thank you, ladies, for listening to our story and sharing our hearts and sharing this as a safe space to just really discover where your spirituality is. In my coaching business, I have a mind life discovery session. So if you want to have a session where you get to just explore where you are currently in your life, if you feel like you're stuck and you've lost that magic, or you're making some really big decisions and you just need somebody to hear you, I have a free midlife discovery session just for you. It's a very safe place for you to be able to talk and share what you're going through. So feel free. There's a link down below. Feel free to call me, call Marti, and reach out. You're not alone in all of this.
Let us know how you're doing. Let us know. Drop us a comment. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? If you want to share part of your spiritual journey or some insights, we'd love to hear it. Drop them in the comments below or reach out to us privately. You can do that messages through Facebook. If you're in the menopause support group, you can just reach out to us and message us. If you want to shoot me an email, my email is down below, but it's marti@martidaly.com. I would love to hear from you.
I want to thank everyone for joining us at the Menowave Lounge, Hot Flashes and Cool Conversations.
Thank you for joining us in the Menowave Lounge. If you'd like to connect with Marti, Robin, our guests, or any of our expert Menowave care providers for personalized advice and support, head on over to our website at menowave.org and fill out an assessment that will match you with a provider who knows just how to help. Remember, you don't have to face menopause alone. Our team is here to provide the guidance and care you deserve. So, take that step towards reclaiming your well-being and connect with a Menowave care provider today. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Menowave Lounge, Hot Flashes and Cool Conversations.